Hey everyone, this is Cliff, and we're gonna be building off our choreography from the last video we had. In the last video, we animated a punch, and that's cool, and it was really fun. But we're gonna go ahead and add some moves into this character to create a little bit more of a fleshed out choreography. If you see fight scenes virtually anywhere, they have a lot more moves. Sometimes it can be, simple. Sometimes it can be really, really complicated. But we're gonna go ahead and add some moves into our sequence here to build out our choreography. Just a reminder that this tutorial series is brought to you by Autodesk. They want to support the channel, and they thought that this series would be nice. That would help out a lot of people out there. So I will be using Maya for this. It's my main program of use, and if you want, you can grab it for free if you're a student, or if you're no longer a student, there is a Maya Any license, which is the one that I use. Link is in the description. All right, so we have our punch here, which is cool. I really like what we created here, but I want to go ahead and make it just a little bit more, more brought out. I have my choreography piece here that I'm going to be referencing. I'm not going to go ahead and make it a one-to-one translation. I'm just using really to kind of have an idea of what exactly I would like, but I'm just using it as almost like a guide for my choreography versus a one-to-one translation. It's not going to be like I'm going to be watching it every frame, just to be able to go ahead and create it. From here, we have our crosshair, our punch. So we're going to go and build it out some more. Let's see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead. The next move we have is our hook. All right, we're going to extend the timeline to about, let's say 30. Let's give us some more space. And we're going to switch the panels to the side by side like we had before, just so I can animate in one frame. I'm at one window, and then you can see in the other. I'm going to remove the curve nodes here so you can really see everything that's happening here. Okay, so from here, the next move is going to be the wind up for the cross here. We're going to go ahead and just start at like 5 frames like we usually do. But actually, I'm lying to you. Since we are building it out, the character actually pushes back into a rest pose here, so it can kind of loop, right? So that's what we kind of have here. We kind of have it to loop, but we don't want the character to go ahead and punch and then come back to do another move. We're gonna go ahead and remove these 2 poses, the 13 and 17 here. That way, once he punches, we move into the next move from there, from frame 7. And this was kind of cool for the first video, but we're gonna go ahead and delete this here. Feel free to save an additional file for yourself if you want to keep that move for later. And I'm going to give myself 5 frames per usual. And we're going to go ahead into the next pose, which is going to be the hook pose. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just get that going. Reminder to have your auto key on, that way everything could be positioned. And something to keep in mind when you're creating moves in a choreography, you want to go ahead and keep in mind of how fast your character is moving from one pose to the other. You don't necessarily want to create a move where the character's jumping so fast from that movement that it seems pretty jerky. So while I'm creating this hook punch here, I'm not necessarily going to move his body weight too much. Like, I'll move it a little bit, but it's only 5 frames, which really is like, I don't know how much quarter of a second that is. So you're not going to have much time to really, to really move that far. So for it to really sell that movement. So this looks good from the front. I don't know from the side if it if it sells, I feel like I may have to do something like this for it to sell like that. Right, so there's a little bit of a weight change, but I want to have it a little bit more of a weight change because you want the power to be coming from the waist down versus just the arms. So we're gonna move him back just slightly a bit and then turn his body so you really feel like that power is coming from, but keep his face on the target so you really feel like that power is coming from the torso and the body versus it coming from the arm, and really bring that. No, that's too back. So whoop, let's go ahead. This is still on, so we're gonna deselect this. That way it's easier to, okay. So it's good. And again, even though I have the reference here, I'm not necessarily, since they're going really fast, you know, I really want to make sure my poses are good. I don't necessarily want to use, because that pose is not necessarily the greatest of poses from the reference. I really want to, you know, make it as clear as possible what the pose is. That might be the ticket there. Okay, so I'm moving from frame 12 to frame 17 into my next pose. And this is really it. Like, if you're thinking about, you know, if animating is complicated or anything like that, it's really just, you know, having good planning. And the more you plan for any action, but especially your fight animation, the more you plan, the easier it is to really figure it out, because you're just, you know, making sure that you're setting down keys. You know, we'll be going over on how to make sure it looks believable and how to make sure it can be as dynamic as possible. But, you know, once you have your keyframe set, and once you have everything looking the way you look, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty much straightforward. All right. So as you can see, I'm going for a much more dynamic, a much more of a expressive fight here. Oh, I left the tangents on, so I'm going to go ahead and click drag my timeline here, change my intent to stepped, and that should make it back to what I was before. So you can see how you can feel that wind up. You see the punch, wind up, and then the cross here. So it may be a little bit slow. I feel like it's a tad slow. I feel like I can feel that already from, yeah, it might be a little bit better. And I think I can probably make, and I moved the keyframe from 17 to 16, and I probably can make this just a tad, the pose a tad bit. That might be too much, but we'll see what happens when we go through the choreography. So I think I like that look a lot. All right, so we're gonna move on into our next pose. We're just going to be the anticipation, or the next pose, and the anticipation for the uppercut. So we're going to do 5 frames from here until frame 21, and get ready to set up for our next set of pose. This is here, so we're going to go ahead and do the uppercut pose. Probably going to push it back to where it was before. Nice wide stance. Really open him up here. And this is a pretty cool, it's a pretty cool fighter pose, I would say. But we're gonna open his arms up just a bit, just so you can get ready for that uppercut pose. And then for here, to get ready for that uppercut pose, even though I just moved him into this position, I'm probably going to angle him just a tad bit here, just so we can kind of, and then drop the shoulder so we can really get that sense of he's about to really lay it on the other character. And so it should be good. Right, so as soon as he comes in, punch here, transitions into, and you can kind of already feel it, right? As soon as he comes in punch, you can see, okay, he's going to go in for that uppercut. All right. You're going to notice that it's the same type of poses here. You know, the next pose, I would say we're probably going to make movements where we move into another location, you know, have a little more movement in the choreography. Like right now, he's kind of in place, which isn't too bad, especially if this is your first time making a fight animation. You don't necessarily want to make it too complicated by having a lot of movement. But we want to go ahead and kind of really, you know, really make this as cool as it can be. So we're going to go ahead and have a little bit of movement, but we're going to go over, you know, camera work and how camera can really enhance your animation, just even if it's something as simple as them staying in place. So we have the uppercut here. And again, an uppercut really doesn't go really past your head. This is a much more of a Ryu Street Fighter type of uppercut. This is not a realistic uppercut whatsoever. But you know, that's what this is. You know, that's the way it's in animation. You want to really make sure that the audience can tell what the character was intending to do, and though this is not realistic, because I have a lot of well, not a lot, but a couple people, you know, would really like to make realistic type of animations, but they're also having, you know, a hard time making the character look physically accurate, you know. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, maybe just the assumption of, because an animated character, you assume that it's going to look a little more exaggerated no matter what type of character it is, because even if it's like an Assassin's Creed character, they're also doing very, very exaggerated moves, even though they're not as cartoony as something like, you know, Ratchet and Clank. All right, so we have our uppercut here. I want to lean him in a little bit more just so you can really sell that uppercut. So you can see this curve here. But I also want to have him, I'd rather have him a little bit more to the side just so we can give the opposing character, because we're going to be adding another character in the next lesson, but opposing character something to work with. We may adjust it in that scene, but right now I think it works well. All right, so let's play it back and let's see what we have. Of course, we got to go ahead and adjust it again, but I think we tangents stepped, just in case if you have it yours on linear. But I think it looks good. He's really going for these punches. Everything's a haymaker. Like, it's a cross, it's a wide hook, it's a strong uppercut. These are real big, real big moves, which are good for, which is good for something like this. Okay. So we're gonna open up this timeline just a little bit more. I believe I have too many moves here because right now we have 1, 2, 3. We may add 2 more moves. I don't want to make it too complicated. So what we're gonna do is move the character forward, right? But instead of it being 5 frames, since I know it's gonna be a lot, we're gonna just jump into 10 frames. We're gonna move the character forward to do a to do like a backhand move, like you see in the reference here. So that should be cool. We're having a little bit of movement. We're moving away from our safe zone, but I think it's fine. So even though I put the frame down on frame 35, I don't necessarily think that I will be I don't think I'm going to be 100% committed to it. I may go ahead and move it anyway. But I think it's looking good here. I wonder if I have to go ahead and make it just a bit more open. I don't know if I have to open the stance up a little bit more, but let me finish out the arms here first, and let's see what we have here. It doesn't necessarily seem as dynamic, I would say, as the uppercut, but I think it works for what I have here. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let's see. Pose is good, but let's see how it is. All right, so we need an anticipation pose here, because what happens is that we're going from a punch move to another punch move. So we're gonna need an anticipation pose here. I'm gonna put one on 30, and we may adjust the timing. So I apologize that this is not as clean of a series, because we're jumping back and forth on the timeline. But you know, it's my first time doing something like this. I hope you guys forgive me. So what I'm doing, first thing I did is I went ahead and copied the frame from one to the other. I went ahead and middle mouse dragged and pressed S to go ahead and copy the keyframe. So it's now the frame is here, but it's also here. So I'm going to adjust it and putting in a transition pose. So that would be almost like a and also another anticipation pose for something like this. So it's almost like once right when he had first made that step there. We'll go ahead and try it out, and we can always adjust the time later just in case if it doesn't look good. All right. We still want to have our character looking at the enemy. So this is a nice step here. I want to keep his arm in. Still kind of showcase this one, because I feel like the camera is going to be behind them, but I could switch the camera around to make it a little bit more, but I really want to showcase it from this side that this punch is happening. So let's see how that looks. Boop. Well, that swing would have to be fixed, but let's go ahead and not look at that from here. Stepped. And let's see. That looks better. Again, the timing is still all uniform. I think that we're gonna have to go ahead and change that, but I think it looks much better. All right, so from here we're gonna go ahead and move it to 40. For our last move in the sequence. See, if I would say I would change anything, I would have. Let's see how it looks like with an X. I know it does not make much of a difference, but I'm really thinking that the time that he's gonna take to step into that move, and then this move shouldn't be that. Okay, I think 3 frames is enough. I don't want to make it any quicker, but we'll see what happens. But I think this is pretty good. All right, so the final move. All right, we're gonna just make it a simple cross. Very similar to the first one that we had, this one, right? This one, but it's just gonna be the opposite side. So on frame 40, I am switching him over. see, switch him over a little bit. I want to keep that back foot the same, because if he's going to step into something, I'm okay with him stepping onto the side here, kind of being a little off weight, and then, but if he's going to take that step into the cross, I want his weight there to be a little more balanced. All right. I think this one's pretty good. I don't really think you can see the pose, but you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. Yeah, I'm pretty good with it. And then final pose on 45. Again, that last one here. And a key takeaway, again, if this is your first time making a fire animation, or if you're kind of learning along the way, the key thing in here is really extending your poses. I feel like I'm really getting that balance right. I feel like a lot of times when I see just beginner fight animations, they're really focused on the choreography and getting cool choreography, which is great. And I think that's that's why we get into fight animations, to make cool choreo. But it's really important that the poses come out to look as believable and as well as possible, because that's how it becomes watchable. That's how it becomes enjoyable. So really get those poses to really be as strong as it can be, to really sell the choreo that you're going for. Oof. Yeah, and this is why we keep it on stepped, because if you see all of that, you're gonna want to fix it, and it's not time to fix it yet. Right now we're on the building block mode. We're not gonna do anything with that right now. Okay, I think it looks good. So I'm gonna open this up here. Yeah, I think this looks good. So we have our choreography here. So we added a couple more moves into our move set. We have the punch, at least the cross, the hook, the uppercut, the backhand, something a little different with the step, and then another cross. We're going to add in another character, opposing character, into the next video, and then just coming up with different moves that they can use to either dodge, block, counterattack, however it can be, to really mix it up and create something cool here. Alrighty guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video in this series.